Because if you go in a rocket up to space, you'll take me with you. I'll pay you.
Sounds good. Only if I can be Kanye West.
I'm going to start stitching my spacesuit now so they see me parachute out of the rocket.
Because speaking about rockets, yeah, guys, let's go straight in with tonight's episode. Do you believe that in 1969, man went to the moon? That leads me into this episode. In 1969, do you believe in 1969 they flew a man to the moon? Welcome everyone everywhere to the Elite Thinking Club. I'm Chris Jules Julian. I'm joined today by Lucas, Liz, and Chris. You all right, guys?
Hi.
Happy days. Yeah. Do you think that man went to the moon in 1969? Actually, do you think we've ever been back? Now, oh my God, this conspiracy episode is going to go in. And if you haven't seen the one that we've done before, check that out. But this one specifically on the moon landings in 1969. So I'm just going to throw it out there and you guys just, whatever you think, let me have it all in one go and then we'll just start digesting it bit by bit. So do you think man went to the moon in 1969, Lucas?
I want to believe it, but I think I'm going to take the conspiracy side and say they didn't.
Liz?
I don't think they did. I'm with Lucas.
And Chris?
Nah, I don't think they did either.
All right, cool. So that's three. And I'm with them on it. Oh, man. I don't think they did. And, you know, we got our reasons. But I heard something that might debunk what we're thinking, okay? So the thing is, what I heard is they did land on the moon, but we aren't allowed to know. Because what they discovered or what they found, it would drive us crazy. So it's like top secret. So they actually made this conspiracy real. Like they knew they were like filming it and they made it into, well, I say just dropped a nugget there, filming it and made it a hoax because they need us to know that it's a hoax so that we don't ask any questions about what they actually found. So it's a cover up to cover the cover up. I may have lost you there. Let's go in on this a little bit more. So if you haven't done so already, go check out Chris's podcast called Chicken's Chat because he done a 2-part episode on conspiracies and it was the top 10 conspiracies believed by the human race. And Chris, you brought it here to the Elite Thinking Club as well, didn't you? You brought so you've got to check out that episode as well. But guys, Chris, let's begin with what you went in with on that episode tonight.
Yeah, so basically, the reason why a lot of people say that they don't think they landed on it is because of the flag. The flag almost sort of moves. So that's one of them. Obviously, there's no gravity, so flag shouldn't move. And the other point is that they were kind of, at the time, competing with rocket technology with the Russians and all that type of stuff. So people are basically saying that if they were to say, we went to the moon, then and the Russians didn't, then that makes it look like that they beat the Russians in basically creating technology for man to go to moon, space, or whatever along them lines. But I was never sure, to be honest. I was always on the fence with it. But I watched his video on YouTube. I sat there watching a video on YouTube.
Yeah,
I swear. And, I was watching it, and it was a woman and a man floating in space. So it was NASA in space, and they were supposed to be sort of going around the Earth.
Right.
And they're talking to you on the camera, floating, and then all of a sudden they just drop to the floor. And I'm like, they just drop to the floor? And then they quickly get up, and then they start floating again. So that just tells me that they were lying about being in space because obviously gravity's just not going to come back. I'm just going to go, here I am, you know. So it's almost like they were lying.
So you saw footage of like someone in space fall.
Yeah.
They fell in space, which obviously you wouldn't fall in space. You float in space because there's really low gravity up there.
Yeah.
Which does make me think like, you know, when you breach a certain part of the atmosphere and you know, the gravity pull must get less and less. Like the higher you go, the less the pull. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. No, that's right.
That's right. So they also say it doesn't matter, how, I think it was in the episode that you mentioned it, Lucas, to be fair, it doesn't matter how heavy an object is. If it's dropped at the same height, it will just be pulled at the same speed.
Yeah.
So if we are at a place where gravity, and it doesn't matter how heavy you are, you could almost just float at the same level if you reach that perfect point. Because if you go beyond it, you'll just float away, right? Like magnets. You know when you find that perfect, you know when they make the magleg trains, the trains that don't need rails, they're just like magnetic trains. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. But yeah, magleg trains basically don't need wheels because they're just hovering, because the magnets go on and off really quick. So when they go on and off real quick, it makes the train bounce, hover. If you find that perfect hover, potentially we could do that. But what you're saying, Chris, is that you saw a footage of people floating and then just drop
within the spaceship, and they do like videos, like sort of, I don't know if it's weekly or monthly, of them sort of brushing their teeth with toothpaste and eating food, and how they do like their daily routine from exercise, all that sort of stuff. I'm watching this video and they just top to the floor. And I'm like, well, that's not going to happen in space, is it? And you could see on their face, they're like, what's just happened?
You can simulate anti-gravity, but it's not no gravity, it's really low. And you can do it there's loads of different places you can do it. But I think the two most common ways is underwater. So I know in NASA's big HQ in the States, they have like a massive water tank. When they train people to go to the International Space Station, they've got an International Space Station underwater in a massive swimming pool. And that, you can Google that, that's not secret at all. But the other way is going in an aeroplane really high. And you basically, the pilot does the same speed as the plane as the rate you're falling. So when you're inside the plane, it seems like you're not affected by gravity, but you are. But because your surroundings inside are falling at the same time, it seems like you're not.
Yeah.
But you can simulate anti-gravity, but obviously they didn't do it very well in that video.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Can you imagine being part of something like that, where, you know, imagine being back in that time and they say, right, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna say that you've been to the moon, but you're not actually going to the moon. I don't think I could go along with it. That's quite a big lie to keep going. But
So
didn't
Liz,
one of the astronauts? Sorry.
No, I was going to say, imagine if you didn't know. Imagine if they convinced you that you were getting in the spaceship.
I know.
And then they simulated like you were in this rocket ship. So you're believing you're in this rocket ship and you're getting zoomed up.
That's
and
mad.
And then then they just literally moved the rocket ship to like a film set. But the film, like, you know, Truman Show, the film set's so big and it's so real. You actually think you're in space. So they do the thing that Lucas said and put them in like some simulator thing. And that simulator creates the illusion that they're floating.
Mad.
You know, is it like a big, is it a big stage, a big set? But they didn't know. The actors didn't know. Or they say the actors, the victims? No. What should we call them?
Basement.
They didn't know, yeah.
And it goes, one of the main things people
didn't one of them say something about it though? Didn't one of them, I'm sure I read or heard something ages ago about one of the astronauts that was conducting that whole thing said that he thought something wasn't right about it, or I'm sure something, I could be wrong, it could be something else, but that's what I'm definitely heard or read something somewhere, because I think that's what kind of confirmed to me of thinking, it wasn't real.
It's a difficult one, because as much as like I want to believe my conspiracy brain, I also want to believe that, you know, I listen, look, I'm not going to pretend that I trust the government. I do not trust the government. I don't care. Too much has happened in my lifetime for me to ever really give the government trust. And when I say trust, there isn't like a level to trust. You either do or you do not. Do you know what I mean? There is no like, oh, I trust them like 50-50. Nah, F all that. Because with trust, you can't. Like, once someone breaks that trust, it's like, you know, it's like a vase, isn't it? It's like apple crumble. Once apple pie, like once you break the crust on apple pie, you can't rebuild that. That pie is now broken. That's damaged. You know what I mean? And like same with a vase, like you try and rebuild that, but it's cracked and whatever. So it is what it is. Can't believe.
Even if you put it back together, the cracks are still there.
Exactly. and it's heartbreaking.
Mm.
But you know,
So
anyway,
I want to go back to the flag.
Yeah,
Chris mentioned. So that's one of the big ones that people pick up on, because there's no atmosphere on the moon. How, or on, I don't know if you've seen the photos or the videos, how is this flag waving about? And then they asked NASA about this, and they said, "Oh, we engineered it because we knew it was going to be like that." Do you think they actually had a team that engineered a flag of all this space and technology and stuff? Do you really believe in their team they spent time designing a flag to wave for photos? But also, the way physics works in space is if you push something, it won't stop. So if you have a ball and you push it in space, it will just keep going because there's no resistance and there's no friction. So this flag, if you push it, it will just keep spinning round and round because it's got a rotation, a center point. It will just spin round the pole. Yeah. So why is it not stop spinning, and why is it going back and forth to start with? And then another point that I want to bring up is in the photos, obviously the sun provides all of the light when you're in space because it's pitch black. So why in all the photos do they have lights coming from all different directions, like it's from a film set? Like they've got lights from everywhere, all these angles lighting up the whole place.
There's just so much, isn't there, to so many factors that make you not believe it.
And also, one question I want to ask you all. If we managed to get there in 1960, when was it?
1959, I think
1959.
it was.
59, not 69. I can't even know. Yeah, go on.
I don't know, but whenever we went, it was around 50, 60 years ago. Why have we not been back?
Exactly.
This is what I say.
I don't think we were that advanced then. I don't. I think maybe we are now, but definitely not then. But then I think, like Jules says, why did they want us to think they did, or why have they covered up? Yeah, it's just too fishy. Too fishy.
It is. And you know what the funny thing is? Like all the conspiracies we cover, like JFK, the Egyptians, and all that good stuff, there is always this underlying need to know. Like, why am I so why do I want to know so much? Why can't I just let it go? You know, and I ask myself this a lot. I say, why have I got such a deep need to know the truth? And then there's also that you can't handle the truth. And I have to be big enough to say, maybe they're right. Maybe I would freak out if I knew the truth. If they told me we did go to the moon and what we discovered, you ain't gonna like it. So leave it to us. You just enjoy your little bubble life and you just carry on with your little podcast wishing you knew, yeah? And I'm like, yeah, well, fuck you, because I'd like to know, but okay.
There is
right. Here's a good one. God's honest truth, yeah. If you've never been somewhere, how would you know what to prepare for? Take a pause. If you've never been somewhere, how do you know what to prepare for? Saying that, air pressure, the higher you go up, it gets quite a lot, doesn't it? Like going deep in the ocean. It's the same, right? Vice versa. Are we even capable? Like now we know, like we've got satellites, yeah? So they've got satellite crews, they've got people, just hovering around the atmosphere. And they say, by the way, it's a beautiful thing actually to watch lightning storms of the planet. I'm going a bit of a tangent here, but they say that when you see the planet from outside looking in and there's like this layer of cloud and you can see the thunder and lightning going on, not see thunder, but see the lightning going on. They say that it looks like the brain when neurons fire. Ain't that something? Must be beautiful. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Get away from the tangent. Come back. All right. When you're hovering around the atmosphere, you won't go no further. And I've got a real deep spiritual belief in this. And my deep spiritual belief is this. We're not meant to. We're not supposed to. So although we can send other things like out there, we as humans are not supposed to. Like we can't. Like we won't survive. You go any further than that atmosphere brink and you're fucked. Like, sorry, but you're not gonna make it. You know? Just like we haven't gone to the depths of the ocean. Don't know if you've seen the film Meg. Anyone seen the film Meg?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great film. Jason Statham, and like he's probably the only person I know from that film. But what a great film. big flipping sharks come out from the depths of the ocean and just, yeah, fuck everything up. And it's great. Like, I just think, whoa, makes Jaws look shit, but it's awesome. You get a chance, watch it. Because maybe we just weren't meant to go on the moon. Can you imagine, right, that the moon obviously governs the oceans? I've been talking way too much. You guys need to say something. Lucas, cut me up. Edit me. But can you imagine the moon obviously shifts the oceans? Like, it makes the tides, it makes the waves, it balances our planet, it balances us. We're 85% water. So as like a 85% water, the moon, it governs all the water.
I agree with you on that, Jules.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. If you go to the moon and you start putting things on it, it's going to shift the balance. And ultimately, like, it could bring us some doom. And if they're smart enough to put someone to them, if they're smart enough to know the calculations, to have people floating on satellites and all this, they know their calculations. NASA. I think they're smart enough to know we shouldn't actually land on there.
There is one thing I want to point out as well, is there's a classic photo of someone walking on the moon, and there's footprints. But if there's and they said there's no life, there's no water on the moon, but you don't make footprints without moisture within the sediment. So if you're walking...
That's the other point that got me. That's the other point, the footprints.
Yeah, because if you walk down in an estuary, so I live near the Thames estuary, if you walk across the mud there, you leave footprints because it's wet, and the mud, you leave footprints in the mud. If you pour, I'm trying to think of a drive, if you pour flour on the floor and you tread in it, you don't make footprints. You just make you just compact it down, but you won't leave a footprint.
Going back to what you said, Jules, about the moon with the tides and the water and how we're, so much percent water. I think as well that I just don't think we would be able, I think that like there's like a shield around the moon, like it has its own, and I just think we'd only get so far, and then I don't know, like whatever was going there would just, I just don't think we'd even get onto it, because the force from the moon to be able to affect us and our planet, I don't think we can. And sorry, go on.
There is a sort of tangent, that a small story that I'd like to tell you about satellites, and about NASA versus the Soviet Union, or Russia now. So Russia sent out a satellite, and when you send satellites out into space, you have to declare them and state what they are, what the purpose is, and what they're there for, effectively. And they sent out a satellite, I think it was about a couple of years ago, and they didn't declare it. And the states turned around and they said, this is all on the internet, by the way, you can check it. And they said, what's this satellite for? Russia was silent, didn't say a word. So the states kept pressuring them, like nagging them, saying, what's this satellite for? You got to tell us. And then they kept doing this. This went on for about half a year. And then after the 6 months, Russia then turned around and went, oh, it's a university project. We're surveying the topography of the land. And if that is the sole purpose, why would you be scared to tell them and have to wait 6 months to think of this excuse? And that just stems down to the moon landing is about Russia versus the States. And I don't want to scare any of you, but there could be a death machine orbiting our planet.
There you go.
I flipping love Russia. I know it sounds bad.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I love Russia. I love China. I love America. I love everybody anyway. But I feel like there's this need for some countries just to have this dominance, like world dominance. But I think it's just protection, because in the past, obviously, everybody knows we've had world wars. We've had some real messed up times in our history as humans. Like, it's been real bad. Like, we know now as like spiritual beings that, come on, guys, like peace and love. That's what actually gives us this need. But then there's these others that are just like, look, if you want peace, you need to prepare for war. I don't know who said that, but that's like a renowned statement made by some philosopher somewhere. If you want peace, you must prepare for war. And but what I love about Russia is I think that they're just like sleeping dragons, really. And they just need to do it every now and then. They just need to remind people, like, we don't bother you, so just don't bother us. And yeah, there's something in the sky, but just don't bother us. Just like we don't bother you. That's like me and my neighbors. We don't have to get on. And yeah, I play my music loud, but just don't bother me and I won't bother you. Don't start nothing, won't be nothing. You know them ones there. You know them ones. Just let it be. And I'll tell you what, in 6 months' time, I might turn it down because you asked. But I'll do it in 6 months' time. And maybe that was Russia's response, you know? Oh, it's a university project. I love Russia.
Come on, if it was a university project, they would have just said it straight up, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
But then why did they wait 6 months? What was it doing in those 6 months? What did they want it to be doing in those 6 months before they quickly came and just said it was a uni project? They obviously had to gather something.
Chris, you've been awfully quiet, and I know you just process a lot of stuff, but you got anything else to add to this? Because this is
well, I was just about to say that obviously I think the media portray Russia out to be this big bad country, which actually I don't think they are at all. It's almost like they want us to think, oh, I hate Russia, we don't like Russia, you know, that type of thing. But really, I've never even been to Russia to say anything about Russia. You know what I mean? I know obviously they did kind of cheat with drugs tests to do with sport and Olympics, that side of things obviously is not great. But apart from that, I've never met, is it Putin? Never met him, or, you know, so I really don't know anything about Russia. But I think the media tries to make us think that they are bad. Same as maybe with China, they're the same as well. But
do you like James Bond films?
Yeah.
Right, who doesn't like James Bond film? If you don't like James Bond films, then I don't know what's wrong with you, but it's a great little insight into what might be going down in MI6 or MI5, or, you know, this battle between saving the world from all these mad people who have access to so much shit that James Bond don't have access to. And they send one guy in on his own and he just goes and wins the... I love James Bond, he's cool. But ain't it mad how sometimes it's never the same side, which baffles me. It does actually baffle me. It's like, oh yeah, everyone in America, we're all in hugs, mate. We're all in unison. We're all together in this. It's us versus them. They're the ones overseas we need to worry about. But in actual fact, you got terrorists at home. Why is he not taking out terrorists at home? Because that film wouldn't sell. They don't want to be portraying themselves out to be like, you know, we've got terrorists at home. Bring James Bond in to save us from ourselves. No. We need an enemy overseas that, you're right, no one knows anything about, so we can make them out to be whoever we want them to be. They're Russian and they eat pigeons, and, you know, they live in huts and they have fires in buckets. What? That's probably not true at all. But if it's on a film and you see it, people are like, that's what Russia looks like.
It's the accent, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, it's pretty hardcore too.
He dies.
And they're all portrayed with like a funny eye or a funny scar on their face, like something really like volatile. But that's the thing with the media. They, like you said, Chris, you've never been there. How do you know? You've never met Putin. He could be really hospitable. You could go around and he could be great. You don't know. But that's the thing with the media. Not the thing, like going back to the trust thing as well, Jules. I don't trust the media because when they try and scaremonger you about something or scare you about a country, a person, a disease, whatever it is, I always think, what is it you're trying to distract us from? What is it you don't want us to know about Russia or about whatever it is they're trying to scare you with? So yeah, unless I've been there myself and I've dealt with those people myself, I'm not going to be scared of them. I'm not going to think they're bad guys.
Yeah.
It's the same as our episode on Harry and Meghan. You know, a lot of people like, oh no, I don't like them. Why don't you like them? And then when you ask people that, you ask them to break down their answer as to why they view them negatively. It's not really a very... Do
you want to know something? Yes, I was chatting to someone the other day, guys, and this is gonna like it's gonna make us think twice, because remember when Jeremy Kyle was a big deal? Right, so if you're not from England and you're watching us now, guys, we used to have this talk show host called Jeremy Kyle. And what he used to do is he used to take people with problems and put them on stage and basically belittle them in front of people. And people used to cheer. And it was pretty much recorded bear baiting. Like we used to, it was really horrible to watch. Now, I got this inkling as soon as the show was released. But for some reason, the public energy, the sway, the collective consciousness, the way that it was made out to be was like, for the time, the in thing. Do you get what I mean? And that's the power of media. They can quickly make a whole audience switch and turn on an individual, like, you know, the Harry and Meghan thing, making Russians out to be like pigeon eating, hut living, fire breathing, whatever I said. But it's like, I can't believe that. You know, obviously, all it takes is for someone to stand up and say, "Don't you think this is a bit wrong, a bit morally wrong?" And then the show got shut down, which I'm very grateful for, because, you know, it's horrible. You don't take people in need and make them, you know, you don't make yourself. It was weird, man. If you get a chance, guys, watch Jeremy Kyle. If you're not from England, but if you are from England, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'd like to know what you think about that, actually. So yeah, let me know. Let us know. Comment. Let us know what you think about that. Lucas, been a little bit quiet there. Got anything to add to that? Forget Jeremy Kyle. Go with moon landings.
No, yeah, I just going back to trust in the media and stuff. I mean, I don't think I trust the media or the government, any government. Some governments have done a lot worse things than others. Could be conspiracy theories. So, anyone listening, make sure you subscribe, because there will be an episode on 9/11 coming up very, very soon. But other than that, I just don't, even though we have daily encounters with the media, I spend time on Instagram every day, and daily encounters with the government, especially with Corona, I still don't trust them that much.
So I've got one wicked conspiracy theory for you that I thought about myself, to be fair. And I'm just reminded because, Lucas, on your shirt, you got some different writing on that. What is that? Chinese, Japanese? What is that?
Yeah, Japanese.
What's it say, Lucas, please?
I've got no idea.
Same. I got no idea. And here's the funny thing. We spoke about in a previous episode about conspiracies and aliens and do they exist? And then we came down to this theory that we just thought of right there and then, that, you know, aliens are actually us in the future that come back to discover or explore what we were like. And they probably look at us and think, what a primitive bunch, because they've discovered time travel. Just like we can go and dig up old sites of Vikings and Saxons and Boudica and stuff like that, Julius Caesar, you know what I'm talking about. And we are fascinated by how they used to live with all the mosaics and, you know, even primitive times when, let's go right back, cavemen and our relationship with the wolves. And now we've got dogs, you know, it's man's best friend. We can go in on this sort of stuff. And I love to go in on this sort of stuff. It's just, my theory is this. Chinese people survive, the rest of us die, and they evolve and become the aliens. I did pause there for effect. You like that? But hear this one. Because when you look at Chinese people, you know, I'm not trying to make myself out to be some sort of like, what's the word I'm looking at? Like discrimination. I'm not trying to be all that kind of racist. Forget all that. This is real fact. Their eyes are different to mine, and their features are different. And as time evolves, obviously aliens evolve. Look at a Chinese person's head and then look at an alien's head, and you can almost see this evolution. I can almost see it. And where they speak more than one language in China, what is it, like 7 different languages? I don't know. How many different Chinese is there? Guys, help me out.
I think there's about 4.
All right, 4.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie to you. It sounds very, like, if you speed it up, it sounds like dial-up. Like, it sounds a bit alienated. Not I'm saying that I don't know what aliens talk like. I don't know what they sound like, but it sounds very, you know what I'm saying? That's not me taking a piss. That's me just trying to mimic Chinese people. But if you sped it up, it sounds very like, no, what is it like? Oh, like digital. It sounds very digital. Yeah. And they are living in the tech age. I'm not even joking. They're like born with a microchip.
They're so on it. Yeah.
They are on it. And now, obviously, this is my theory, and I'm going in on this. And I've spoke this in the past, by the way. Like, I am not afraid to say this on one-to-ones, but obviously now we're going live with it. Bear with me. They have different languages because I think if we clock on to one, they just switch to another one. And if we clock on to 2, they switch to the 3rd. And if they clock on to 3, they switch to the 4th, because they don't actually want us to know what they are talking about, because they like that secretiveness. Now, I'm not saying it's like some mad conspiracy that, you know, all Chinese people are in on some joke and that, but hear me out. There might be some master plan between these world rulers, like America are like, now we're going to be the dominant, and Russia's like, now we're going to be the dominant, and China's just like, we're going to be silent and dominant, because we know we got all the tech, we know that we provide all the resources, all your shit's made in China, and you know, not only that, we're winning this race. Now we've created TikTok and we got the Huawei's, and you know, they're trying to fight this. America's trying to fight this. It's this massive like battle. And I know it sounds really, really out there, but that's what Elite Thinking Club's about. I truly believe that in about 200 years time, it's going to get to the real knuckle down time. It's going to be like, or knuckle down, knuckle up time. It's going to be like knuckle up. Let's have it out. And I think they're going to win. So the rest of us go, because they're self-sufficient currently anyway. They are very self-sufficient. They don't actually need the rest of the world. But obviously, humanity, the war, you know what it's like. They don't want to don't start nothing, won't be nothing. You know what I'm talking about. And they're also very, very good at being resourceful, i.e. one child rule, done. Don't fuck with me, it's done. We only eat this. Don't fuck with me, it's done. You know, they are very, very resourceful, i.e. this is the way it's going to happen and that's the way it's going to be. And therefore, that's it. Like, they are so self-sufficient. They outnumber our troops, because I was figuring this out when I was a soldier. They outnumber us something like 20 to 1. 20 to 1.
Wow.
But I remember the days when we used to fight smart, right? So we'd only ever attack an enemy 3 up. I think it was called 3 up. So we'd go 3 in against one enemy. And for us to outdo China, they don't even need to come to arms with us. They don't even need to go toe to toe. They can demolish us on an economic level. They could send over 5,000 troops, land on our shores and surrender. Because of Geneva Convention, we have to take those troops in, and now they're prisoners of war. So we need to feed them. We need to shelter them. We need to clothe them and keep that going for one day. That's 500,000 extra mouths to feed.
Well,
then
like an marriage, right?
Right, okay. Yeah, maybe not in Harwich, but you get what I'm saying. So then if that doesn't work, they just send in another 500,000. Do you get where I'm going with this? They could just wipe us out economically. They could actually starve us to death. And then there's us trying to fight 20 to 1. Like, I might kill the first 5. I've got 15 left to kill. And if my mucker next to me dies, I've now got 40 to kill. We're fucked, right? In that sense. And this is my theory. When I started thinking this up, I was like, mate, China, they're actually going to do it. And then we had that conspiracy theory about the aliens, and it just twigged. I was walking the other day and I was just like, oh, fuck, it's just occurred to me. It's actually just it. Aliens are Chinese people in the future. I'll leave that one with you. If you like that, hit the like, hit subscribe, blow your flipping mind.
Going back to what Lucas was saying about the media, can you imagine, okay, let's just pretend and go back. We're in 1959. We are listening to our wireless radio and, if you're lucky, black and white TV, okay, if you're upper class, and you watch the moon landing, or you're listening on the radio to the commentator telling you, oh my God, they've landed on the moon. In 1959, I think it would be very, very, very highly likely and easier to brainwash, stroke manipulate, stroke convince people that we landed on the moon. Now, fast forward to 2021. Turn on our TVs tonight and we see that same video, but in today's terms, technology, and we see the little things like the footprint, the flag. Are we going to believe it? Really?
Oh, they will. They'll believe it because they always blooming do, don't they?
Yeah, but my point is,
yeah,
I can understand how there are a lot of people from that era who almost want to believe that it happened, because back then, even having a TV was amazing. Even being able to see a man on the TV, let alone a man pretending to stand on the moon. So, and also, if you didn't have the screen and you just had the wireless, not the wireless, the dial-up radio, whatever the thing was called, and you're just sitting there in your living room, all gathered around this radio, hearing this man speak, telling you that this is being done, but you can't physically see it for yourself, and you don't know no different. So,
to back you on that,
I just think
I'm going to back you on that.
I just think that is, it would have been a lot easier then for them to tell us that
right, so
it
give
happened.
Give you a scenario. You're from a shanty town in Brazil and you really love football, and you've got a commentator on the radio That's the only way that you can hear how the match is going down. If he tells you it's a goal, you think it's a goal.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So
exactly.
Man landed on the moon. He landed on the moon.
Yay! Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So again, I think the only people that will ever really know were the people involved.
Right. Which brings me on to something very, very important. Now, I know we keep mentioning it, guys, but if you haven't, just watch our previous episodes on conspiracies, because we actually talk about something that's really, really quite crucial here. Sign secrecy. There are people who sign secrecy all the time, even like sub-level, where you could be making, for example, you know me, guys, big Marvel fan. The actors sign secrecy. You can't speak about what you're filming. You can't, because we got you now. And if you do, you're out. You're not getting paid and you ain't getting played. And that's that. We'll just get another actor in. And they created, they signed secrecy, and they created like the whole thing based on that, to the point where they got so secretive with it. They introduced the green screen where actors weren't even together. They just made actors punch midair. And so they didn't even know who they were punching. Do you get what I mean? So that, the actors still couldn't even speak. They were just like, I'd love to tell you, but I don't actually know who I was punching. Now, this signed secrecy stuff, take it higher levels. Let's take it to the point where you are a pilot, or you are in NASA. You're involved. You're definitely involved. And you sign secrecy. You know, it would not surprise me. It would not surprise me. You know what?
I think it must be part of the contract when they get employed there.
Yeah.
You know, that must be within the contract that what
goes
down here does not get spoke about, not even to your spouse or friends.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you do, we'll kill you.
Yeah, well, and your family.
Yeah, family first, make you watch, then you.
And the pets.
I'm joking. They probably ain't like that, but they probably might be like that. Who knows, you know? But fuck, I wouldn't like to be on the receiving end of that. I wouldn't even have it anyway. I'd be like, yeah. I'd probably make secret docs and slip them places. Leave them for my kids somewhere, you know? Like I'd set up clues.
But that stuff does go down, because do you remember that guy that got radioactive poisoning from a spy in London? Do you remember? Yeah. So that's kind of stuff does go down. So the James Bond stuff is kind of real.
Yeah, real life James Bonds exist. And they disguise themselves.
Absolutely.
They disguise themselves with burgundy jumpers.
I'm one of them.
A podcast. Yeah, I was going to say. You beat me to it, Liz.
Going back to the moon landings. So current day and how technology is involved. So if you look, take for example, phones. So 10 years ago, your phone was a massive brick. You used to carry it around like this. Now I've got a computer in my hand. It fits in my pocket. It's a joke. I can do everything on this small tablet, and it weighs about 3 kilos. But then you look at space technology. So today, we as a planet send people to the International Space Station. And that isn't even halfway to the moon. That is on the edge of our atmosphere. That's, I think, is about between a third and a quarter of the way to the moon. And we still struggle to do that.
Yeah.
That's
SpaceX sent
what I mean.
a rocket up the other day. It come down, crashed, and blew up. Thanks, Elon. Cheers for that. Bitcoin fell through the floor. Thanks for that one. And then so how can we can't even reach a quarter of the way with the technology that's 50 years advanced from back then. So why would I believe you? If Jules turned around and went, oh yeah, 50 years ago, we used to have phones that were better than the ones you had today. Like, nah, stop lying to me. Like, you should be a stand-up comedian. I'm not going to believe that you had technology that was better than what we have today back then.
Must have just been a one-off. Must have just been a lucky day.
Love it, Liz.
Yeah, it happens.
It does happen. And bigger phones meant bigger guns. That's why back then we were stronger than what we are now. We got kids these days falling off trees and crying and shit. I was like, get off the floor. It's only one tree. Jesus Christ. I'll be falling out of 20 trees when I was your age. You know how the old people are. Back in my day, we had phones the size of that washing machine. We had to carry them like this.
I broke my leg and my mum was like, get upstairs, get over it. I didn't go to A&E. I had to snap it back myself.
For real, before mobile phones, yeah, people used to leave the house. People used to leave the house and be like that. See you when I'm back, and that was it. I'll see you when I'm back. When you came home, that's when you got the news. Oh, by the way, Chris saw a ghost upstairs.
That generally did.
What time was this? Literally 5 minutes after you left. We had to wait for you to come back to tell you.
Yeah, man. I'd used to go out. I'd go out like 8 in the morning. I wouldn't come back to 8 at night back then. You can't do
Same
that.
here. I would
It's
literally live
difficult
off of a jam sandwich all day, and I survived.
You had jam sandwich. I lived on air. I was just out. I was just like.
Well, yeah, that was on a good day, Jules. A good day was a jam sandwich.
A jam sandwich, Jesus.
I used to get these tiny little Whopper. They were like 5p, banging.
Yeah.
You know what, guys? Like, it ain't too bad a life. When I thought about it earlier, I was thinking about like the gratitude side of life and how grateful I am that people, circulate the money, regardless of how much you got. You could be a billionaire, you could be a homeless guy on the street, but anyway, everyone's circulating it because we all need to do it together. It really breaks my heart though, how we want to get on, like everyone wants to get on, but there's just so much just stuff we don't get the truth of floating around. It's just not enough for me. Like, I'm very grateful for life. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my friends, grateful for everybody. It's just a bit heartbreaking that somewhere on this earth, there's someone else who's got an agenda that I guess I'm never going to know. I don't need to know, but then I don't need to be manipulated about it either. Just tell me straight. Just tell me straight, bro. I'll probably support you. If you said to me, look, we found this on the moon and we ain't never going back. Good shout. You're the guy we need. Actually, get that guy in office. Do you know what I mean? Because you're talking sense rather than try and put a whole flipping play on, like a whole, like a show.
There's obviously reasons why they don't want us to know what the truth is. There's reasons, because I believe that if too many of us knew the truth, that there's power in numbers, and I think that maybe more of us would want to do something about the truth if we knew the truth. I think that's with anything, with any conspiracy, if we knew the truth on it.
Would we?
But I also,
sorry, go on.
I also do think that there's always going to be an agenda. But also sometimes I like to believe that there's a reason why they withhold the truth, possibly for our benefit. I don't always believe that's the case. However, I think that there is obviously a reason why we don't know some of these big things. And even if they know, they're not stupid. They're going to see the footprint. They're going to see the flag. They're going to work it out.
I was going to say, do you think there's more stupid people than there are woken people? Like, say, for example, because the levels of wokeness, this is quite a buzzword right now. And, anyone watching, you kind of get it. And guys, woke is like being spiritually enlightened to the point where you're seeing beyond the system you're born into. Because the system you're born into, obviously, is programmed. You're programmed to believe that we flew to the moon, programmed to believe that Columbus discovered America. You're programmed to believe that everything's cool and dandy. So they create this bubble of living so that, if you are controllable, you kind of just get on. You don't need to question. You just get on. But then
they don't like it if we question things.
I was going to say, because we're born 2021 and Lucas highlighted the mobile phone thing, like we have got access to so much more information now, to the point where, do you think some people just ain't really wanting to create a system that flows anymore? It's kind of like, I can't be bothered with that. What's the point?
I don't think they're driven.
Yes.
But us on here, like, we talk about it, we discuss it. I think there's people that'd rather just wake up, get on with their job, might sit in an office.
I think that's what happens though when you are so conditioned. I think it numbs your brain down. So you literally are so used to that way of being, you don't want to even consider changing or even thinking for yourself, because you know what, it's easier having someone think for you, having someone dictate or tell you how to do your daily routine. Kind of like going back to one of our other episodes, when people are stuck in the matrix.
But this is the thing as well. So you could possibly be very aware of the situation. You could be possibly very aware that, I know what's going on. I know what's going on. But a wise man once said, nothing at all.
True.
We could be sitting.
But also I think some people are aware, and also some people are aware, but they just don't know what to do about it. They don't know. They don't think there's possibly other people out there that think similar, or they might think in a room collectively they're the only one thinking that way or speaking that way.
I love that.
And the whole social stigma comes out. That's what I loved about Elite Thinking Club.
Go on, Liz.
When you brought it into the world, Jules, you know, for me, it was, I'm not alone here. There are people who are open-minded. They think, they question, you know, they're flexible thinkers. They're free thinkers.
Yes.
You know,
I think,
look into things themselves.
I think it's very, very healthy for people like us and other elite thinkers to actually think. Like, you've been given this evolution thing. Like, so the body has evolved to be so magnificent. It can jump, swim, climb, run backwards, forwards, even, you know, do everything, do whatever you want with your body. It's great. It's a great bit of kit. But the mind, the brain, it's the same. Like, the brain has evolved so much more. We're not like dumb. We're not dumbed down. We've evolved thousands of years to think. And that's what I love about people who do think, and people like us, because we allow our flexibility. You go to the gym and you train the body, right? Have that same attitude with your mind. Like, allow it to think. Even if you're wrong, it don't matter. It don't matter. Everyone starts somewhere. You don't go to the gym and start bench pressing 200 kg. You know, you start where you start. So you're evil, you know, you're still growing. And Liz, I'm so glad you brought that up, guys.
And I think as well, the brain is the most powerful organ, and I think we forget that. It's one of the most powerful organs, and we really do forget that. And I've even with the Elite Thinking Club, I've learned things I didn't necessarily fully know about before. You guys have educated me on that just by being part of it, listening, and you know, joining in. And so that's good because now I'm like, now I know what that means. Now I get that part. I didn't know that part. That's the missing piece to the puzzle. So, you know, it's always good to keep your mind open.
For real, definitely. For real. And to add to what you just said there, Liz, right? Basically, a guy Napoleon Hill, right, wrote a book about Think and Grow Rich, and he says that the power of collective consciousness, like the power of the mastermind, he calls it, is that it's the input of multiple minds. That's how you create the mastermind. So having an elite thinking club actually always existed. It always existed. It just needs the contribution of other minds. You know what I'm saying? That's how it actually exists. And I think when people like do know this, they start putting things together that just blow your mind. It's just like, shit.
And that's why the government do divide and conquer, because they can't have us all having the conscious collective. No,
exactly that. Oh, that's another conspiracy in itself. Like, are they purposely dividing us to control us by the masses? Because if we did all form under one banner, what would we achieve?
There's more of that. There's more of us than there is of them. So power to the people. We could be the ones that, you know, sort of bring them down, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that to any of the James Bonds that watch this. Don't come after me with your radioactive stuff.
They're listening to you. They're coming for you.
I'm just gonna put it out there. Mate, I personally think that the Transformers are living on the moon. Just saying.
You like that one, Chris? Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yes,
imagine
guys.
Though. Imagine. See, that could be part of China though, because they're good with the whole. What is it? Kawasaki?
Yeah.
No, that's Japan. Yeah, with all the gadgets.
I know we've been on some mad tangents because we was meant to like only talk about moon landing, but Elite Thinking Club, we go everywhere anyway. So we went there. But yeah, my theory on the Chinese, quote me on that. Put a stamp on that.
Back on the moon. So can you remember who were the people that actually went to the moon?
Neil Armstrong.
Do you remember? Yep.
Buzz something?
Buzz Lightyear.
I was going to say Lightyear, but it wasn't Lightyear, was it?
Buzz Aldrin, I think.
That's it.
That's it, isn't it?
George Julian.
So which one was
told you. Don't tell no one, Chris. I signed secrecy.
Which one actually? So they both went to the moon, did they?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you remember? I'm sure I saw on a program where the team that went up there went to Buckingham Palace and they met the Queen and Prince Philip. And Prince Philip was very excited to speak to them because he was fascinated with the planets and the moon.
Wait, is Prince Philip the one that's on Jeff Epstein's show on the Netflix?
No, that's Andrew. That's
Andrew.
Andrew. That's his son. That's his son.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So Prince Philip is the old guy who's literally nearly 100. He's married to the Queen.
Oh, that crashed the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not well, isn't it? He's not well.
No, yeah. So basically, there was like this luncheon, and the team of astronauts or whatever space people that were to do with the moon landing business, they went for lunch there at Buckingham Palace, and he was so fascinated. He was like, I want to speak to you guys. So he took them into one of his little, rooms and gave them all some whiskey and a cigar. And he was like, so tell me about it. He had a whole list of questions that he had drafted and was asking them. I think he asked them like 2 or 3, and he was so apparently disappointed because they just sat there and they didn't really have these magnificent or fascinating answers to give to him. They were just like, yeah, almost robotic about the moon
and
business.
that would piss you off because
he then sat there apparently, and he was very skeptical about it because he was okay.
Yeah, what do you mean you went there and took one picture?
I saw that. I saw that like reenactment on a program, and I thought, now this is making me think even more now that
who goes to the moon and takes one picture? If I was NASA, I'd be getting like millions of pictures. I'd be like, I want a picture for every second you're there. You know what I mean? Every second.
And Lucas, you must agree with this. If they did go there, they would have scooped up off the ground samples. They would have got as much evidence and stuff from the moon that they could test stuff on. And they would have got loads of pictures. They wouldn't have just been like, quick snap, back in the ship.
So everything they collected from the moon is at Area 51. And I don't know if you remember, September last year, there was a big, gathering. And all these people, there was supposed to be millions of people storming Area 51 because they thought, power in numbers, if we all go, they can't kill us all. And then it sort of fell flat on its face. And the hashtag that was trending got taken down, and no one got into Area 51.
If I went to the moon and I knew I was the first man on there, I would have pulled a Moonie at the camera. I would have been like that, get my dick out. I don't care. I would have done something very spectacular. Because what am I going to do?
I would have run around on the moon naked.
100%.
I would have been the first
100%. I would have done some weird shit. I would have pulled faces at the
camera.
You
were going to do that. You were going to do it.
I would have done a moonwalk on the moon because I'm on the moon.
Exactly.
I'm the first man to get to the moon, and I did a moonwalk. I'd be like going down in history.
I'd have been flossing.
Trust. I'd be
I don't even know how to floss, but I would have done it on the moon.
You would have done a lot more than just take one picture and come home. It just wouldn't have happened for real. So that is quite.
And you think if we went up there today, they would be doing selfies and everything. They'd have their selfie sticks. So why aren't we up there?
This is my theory.
Why are we going up there?
If you like Alton Towers or like theme parks, like if you like going on roller coasters and whatnot, what better thing than to go to the moon and back? Why is it not like a thing? We should be getting there and back. I'd pay. People would pay. People would do it because it's like a life goal. Like, have you been to the moon yet? Like, have you been to Paris and gone on the Eiffel? Have you been to London and, I don't know, got a selfie at Palace? Or, you know what I mean? Have you met Jules Julian yet? People got these goals in life. And, when you just think, how have you not made going to the moon a thing? Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, it's crazy. Right, guys, I'm going to have to call that one there. But what a great episode. Love that one. It was quite a fast episode, to be fair. We were just going through it. Like, it's not really much to say. Look, guys, if you've got something to say, then say it. Let us know what you think about it and, shine some more light on this, because we all believe that it was a hoax. We all believe it was fake, and, we want to know what you think. So drop us a comment and let us know. And
if any of you out there were there and know, DM us. Ain't no James Bond here, so you're safe.
Love it. Right then, from me and everyone on the team, everyone everywhere, peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Hi guys, if you like that episode, then make sure you check out these as well, because they're also about conspiracies, about alien landings, the pyramids, all good stuff like that. So yeah, please check us out. And if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button and we'll just see you in the next one. From me and the team, peace and love.